Hi, everyone. Welcome to our 2024 Barnes County Achievement Days orientation for judges and judge assistants. Before we begin, I wanted to introduce the three of us who will be behind the registration table, as well as milling around the exhibit floor. We're the ones that you can come to ask any questions that you might have. Deb is on your left side, I'm in the middle, Sue, and Alicia is on the right side of your screen. So today the goal is to familiarize you with procedures, expectations, as well as evaluation criteria for our Achievement Days held in the South Exhibit Building at the Winter Show Event Center on Monday, July 8th, beginning at 4. We're going to hold a short orientation overview with questions and answers, so we would appreciate you being there at 3:45. Initially, focused on agriculture and home economics, 4-H has expanded to include urban areas and a wide range of projects reflecting the changing interests and needs of youth. In the big picture, North Dakota has 10 large project areas or areas of interest. There is a hierarchy within the project areas. For example, animal science. Under this large heading called the project area, there are many projects the youth can select to learn about during the year. Examples include horse, goats, and dogs. The next layer is the exhibit, which you're going to be judging. The youth can select an exhibit that showcases what they've studied and learned about throughout the year. In the case of animal science, the exhibit, which you will judge, may be a poster about dog breeds, from the dog project, from the animal science project area. Exhibiting at Achievement Days and Fairs has traditionally been an important part of a 4-H'er's project learning experience. Judges are part of a team that plays a key role in the 4-H'er's learning process. Judges have a responsibility to evaluate, educate, and encourage. To evaluate, we want to be good listeners, help the youth evaluate their efforts, ask open-ended questions. Under educate, you're going to be sharing your knowledge with the youth as well as learning from them. And of course, encourage. We're going to be providing positive, constructive feedback. Remember that 4-H'ers learn from your words as well as your example. In evaluating exhibits, you're going to be judging 3 categories. The categories are the presentation and appearance of the exhibit, the technical skills and craftsmanship of the exhibit, as well as the interview and the learning involved by the 4-H'er. A standard is a measure of quality. The exhibit is being judged against standards and not judged against other participants or exhibits. So how do you decide if the exhibit compares to the standards? You're going to meet one-on-one with the 4-H'er and visit with them about the exhibit, about the skills they used to make the exhibit, and most importantly, what they learned. Let's take a look at judging in 3 easy steps. First, we're going to interview the 4-H'er and determine the blue, the red, or the white ribbon placing. From there, we're going to be determining the grand and reserve ribbons from all the blue ribbons. And from there, we're going to take the grands and we're going to look at the entire project area and decide which exhibit deserves the medal. So let's take a look at the first step. We're going to interview the 4-H'er and determine the initial ribbon placing, blue, red, or white. Here's an overview. You're going to be using both of these sheets in the interview process. On the left of your screen is the sheet with standards, for appearance and craftsmanship. The photo on the right is your scorecard. The standards sheets will be in your judge binder that you will find at or on your judging station or table when you arrive. The standards sheet you will use over and over again, so it will stay in your binder. You will give the scorecard to the youth after you are done with the interview. You will have many scorecard sheets at your station. Let's take a look at Barnes County Exhibit Standards. Notice the two categories, presentation and appearance in yellow, and technical skills and craftsmanship in blue. Let's take a look at the presentation and appearance. If I were judging cake decorating, I would look at the cake board and see if it was firm and attractive. I would look at the entire exhibit and see if it was overall appealing, if it was well constructed. I would look to see if it was complete. Then I'd move down to the technical skills and craftsmanship, and I'd dive into the skills that were needed to create this exhibit. Were the principles of art applied? How was the use of their tips? Frosting, was it applied evenly and neatly? Was the design in proportion to the cake? And finally, the very last one says, followed guidelines in the State Fair book. We've sent you the excerpt from the State Fair book with the project area that you'll be judging, and they are also in your binder for reference. Many of the projects or the exhibits that you're going to be judging have guidelines, but not all. So I want to show you an example. If you are judging the drawing, painting, carving, and sculpting subgroup, drawing and painting, you would see that you have 1 through 5 listed, and there are certain guidelines that this youth must follow to exhibit. If you look at wildlife and fisheries, you won't see 1 through 5 at all. You'll just see the subgroups. So on your standard sheet, you will not see follows the guidelines for wildlife and fisheries, but you will see on the standard sheet that the youth has to follow the guidelines in the State Fair book. Let's take a closer look at the Barnes County Judges Scorecard. At the top, it has the exhibitor name and description of the exhibit. You can write the description from the exhibit tag on the scorecard, or you can write a very quick description like dog poster. Because remember, this is for the youth to bring home, so we don't need it to be incredibly detailed. The other thing I want you to notice is that as the judge, right here, you have the ultimate discretion in ribbon placing. Here's a slide with both the standard sheet and the judging scorecard. Notice how the colors on the standard sheet match the colors on Part 1, Exhibit Excellence, on the judge scorecard. Here's the Part 1. So the yellow portion is the presentation and appearance standards, and that matches with the yellow on the judge's scorecard. The blue portion is the technical skills and craftsmanship standards, which align with the blue section on your scorecard. On both the scorecard and the standard sheet, there are definitions of excellence, good, and fair. Excellent means above average work and that minor faults are easily corrected. Good means that the exhibit is average work and both major and minor faults have occurred. Fair means that many improvements are needed and several major faults have occurred. A special note to food preservation judges. Please do not open or taste any pressure canned items due to the risk of botulism. Also, for all foods judges, items requiring refrigeration are immediately disqualified. There's a list in your binder for items that require refrigeration. Part 2 is for you to score the interview and the learning involved. Using your good question and listening skills, you can judge all three of these areas. I highly suggest that you write a comment supporting scores and decisions, which will help the youth know what to work on in the future. From here, you can total all the points and use the numerical guide for ribbon placing. Here's the total, and here is your numerical guide. Then you can give the completed scorecard back to the 4-H'er. Judges, after determining the ribbon placing, you can ask the 4-H'er if they would like their ribbon, and if so, you can give the 4-H'er the ribbon to take with them along with their scorecard. Assistants, you will put a sticker which matches the color of the ribbon on the bottom of the exhibit tag and note the ribbon placing in the static exhibit entry sheet. If the exhibit received a blue ribbon, ask the 4-H'er if the exhibit will be going to the state fair. Assistants will enter yes or no on the static exhibit entry sheet. A red or white ribbon exhibit is not allowed to go to the state fair, and you may tell the youth that after the premium sale on Thursday, they can take the exhibit home with them. If the exhibit is being considered for a grand or reserve champion, place the exhibit on the table behind you. When all the exhibits have been judged, you will have the opportunity to view all the potential grand and reserve exhibits for final ribbon placing, as well as a medal for the entire project area. If the exhibit is not being considered for a grand or reserve placement, the youth may set the exhibit on a display table in the middle of the exhibit area. The youth can set it on any table, and we will organize the tables later. So, assistant judges, you can place the sticker that matches the color of the ribbon on the bottom of the exhibit tag, write the ribbon placing on the static exhibit entry sheet, enter whether the exhibit is going to the state fair by circling yes or no on the static exhibit entry sheet, and just a special note to foods judging assistants. What we'd like to do is have you cut one small piece of the food item and put that item on a smaller plate and insert the plate into a baggie. Or you can take one cookie or one bar, put it on a plate and into the baggie. The youth can have the remainder of the food exhibit. Put the piece in the baggie behind you on the table if it is a potential grand or reserve. Otherwise, the youth may put the bagged up exhibit on a display table. Okay, next, we're going to determine the grand and reserve ribbons. So after interview judging, we're going to take the best of the blues and we're going to decide which deserve a grand or reserve ribbon placing. At this point in the judging process, you will be comparing the quality of the exhibits one against another. You may award at least one grand and reserve ribbon per division. You may give more, but generally there is one grand and one reserve per 15 exhibits. If there are only one or two exhibits in the division, you can award a grand champion ribbon if the exhibit is of superior quality. You do not need to give a grand champion if the exhibits are not worthy. Use the pink colored grand reserve sheet in your judge's binder as a guide for the number of grand and reserve ribbons that can be awarded. Absentee exhibits are eligible to receive a grand or reserve ribbon. The third step is determining the project area medal. Medals are the best of the grand champions in the overall project area. If you're a judge for a single project area, determine the medal and fill out the green medal sheet. Shh, this is a secret. If you are collaborating with other judges to determine the medal winner for the project area, only one judge needs to fill out the green medal sheet found in your binder. Absentee exhibits are eligible to receive a medal. Assistant judges, after all the judging is complete, please make sure that the grand and reserve sheets are completed, the medal sheet is completed, as well as your static entry exhibit sheets with ribbon placing recorded and notation on whether or not the item is going to the state fair, and you can return the judge box as well as the binder up to the registration table. I want to end with one quote. I'm not aware of any youth program anywhere that contributes more to the training for future leadership and to give constructive activity to young people than 4 H. I want to thank you for your time and contribution to the 4 H program. Please enjoy the experience and the opportunity to positively impact young participants.